Zara stood in the hallway, holding her breath as she smoothed the creases of her dress. She'd cooked, cleaned, and even borrowed heels from her roommate just to impress his friends tonight. Everything had to be perfect. Tonight mattered. She was about to step into the living room when she heard laughter. And her name. Zara? Nah. Come on, man, said Emeka's voice, cocky and amused. She's sweet and all, but wife material? Not even close. There was silence. Then a different voice chuckled. Why not? She seems loyal. Emeka didn't hesitate. Bro, loyalty's not enough. She's not polished. Look at her, simple girl, basic background. Doesn't even know how to hold wine properly. Can you picture her next to CEOs and diplomats? Nah. She'd embarrass me. Zara's heart stopped. The blood drained from her face. Her back pressed against the wall as if the paint could swallow her whole. She felt like someone had reached inside her chest and cracked something open. It wasn't just what he said. It was the way he said it. Like she was a joke. After everything. After the long nights helping him prepare for investor meetings. After the time she skipped meals to send him data bundles. After holding his hand when his startup crashed and he cried in her lap like a child. This was how he saw her? Not as his future. Just a placeholder. When the laughter in the room died down, she turned silently, heels in her hand, and walked out barefoot. He didn't notice. Not that night. Not even the next day. The text came a week later. We should take a break. You deserve someone on your level. I don't want to hold you back. Zara didn't cry. Not at first. Not even when her roommate cursed him out on her behalf. Not when she deleted all their pictures. Not when she packed the small gift box of his things and left it at his gate. The tears came later. In private, on a Tuesday. When she saw a wedding video online and realized she had imagined growing old with someone who never even saw her. That's when it hit her. She hadn't just been dumped. She had been discarded. Written off as someone who wasn't good enough to stand beside him in the future he pictured. She didn't leave her bed for 2 days. Then, on the third morning, she got up, brushed her teeth, and opened her laptop. And that's when it all began. Not with revenge in her heart, but with something far more dangerous. Clarity. She wasn't going to fight for him anymore. She was going to fight for herself. And in doing that, she had no idea what was coming. 3 months later, Zara walked into a business networking event in a thrifted blazer and accidentally caught the attention of one of Africa's most powerful men. 3 months later, Zara almost didn't go to the event. Her old insecurities still whispered, "You don't belong here." She stared at herself in the mirror. Modest heels, a thrift store blazer, hair pulled back with gel that cost less than a cup of coffee. Her heart thumped against her ribs like a warning. But she breathed in deeply, squared her shoulders, and said out loud, "You're not here to impress anyone. You're here to learn." She arrived at the business networking forum alone. No friends, no fanfare. The hotel ballroom smelled like expensive cologne, freshly printed brochures, and pressure. People moved in clusters. Men in tailored suits, women with pristine makeup and clipped accents. Everyone seemed to know someone. Zara felt like a misprint. She moved to the refreshments table, clutched her notebook, and listened in on conversations about tech startups, mergers, and foreign investment deals she could barely pronounce. Still, she scribbled down notes. Every word was fuel. Then, a voice behind her. "Why aren't you sitting?" She turned. The man standing there was older, late 40s, maybe early 50s. Salt and pepper beard, no flash, just presence. Calm, assured. She didn't recognize him, but his eyes studied her like he was used to reading people quickly. "I'm just observing," she said cautiously. He smiled. "That's wise. Most people only come here to be seen." He nodded toward the far corner of the room. "I've got a free seat at table 14. If you want to listen in on a real conversation, join us." Zara hesitated. Why her? Was this a joke? But something about his tone, direct, respectful, not patronizing, nudged her forward. She followed him. At table 14, the conversation was low, intense, strategic. Deals being made, brands being shaped, Zara didn't say a word. She didn't need to. She just listened, took notes, and absorbed everything like oxygen. After about 30 minutes, the man leaned over slightly. You take good notes. She blinked. Thank you. What's your background? I'm rebranding myself, she said quietly. I studied economics, worked as a digital strategist for a while, took time off, trying to build again. His smile didn't change, but there was something in his expression, respect. I'm Ayatund, he said, extending his hand. Most people just call me Ao. She froze. Ao Olanrawaju, as in the Ao Olanrawaju, the billionaire investment mogul, CEO of one of the largest African venture groups. Her mouth opened, then closed. You already knew, didn't you? He asked, gently amused. I only just realized, she said honestly. Good. That means you were listening because you cared, not because you wanted something. He picked up her notebook and flipped it open. Ever thought about consulting? Zara blinked. Me? You've got sharp instincts. I can tell. Come by the office next week. Let's talk. Zara showed up to Ao's office expecting a polite conversation. She walked out with a job offer and a seat at the table that once felt out of reach. Zara stood outside the glass doors of Olanrawaju Capital with trembling hands. The building soared above the city, its tinted windows glinting like a mirror to the sky. She adjusted her borrowed handbag, whispered a quick prayer, and walked in. The receptionist gave her a warm nod. Mr. Ao is expecting you. Top floor. Elevator doors closed around her with a hiss. As she rose higher, her doubts screamed louder. What if this was a mistake? What if he forgets who I am? What if I say the wrong thing? But the moment the doors opened, she stepped into silence and sunlight. Floor-to-ceiling windows revealed the entire skyline, but it was Ao sitting at a sleek desk who caught her focus. He stood. Zara. Right on time. No assistant. No delay. Just her and him. She took the seat across from him, her spine straight but her palms sweating. I reviewed the notes you sent, he said, flipping through a folder she hadn't even known he kept. You noticed 2 market gaps in one conversation. That's rare. Zara blinked. I wasn't sure you'd actually look at them. I don't collect people for decoration, he said simply. When someone shows they have a mind of their own, I pay attention. He leaned forward. Here's the deal. I want you on my strategy team. Nothing flashy, just assist for now. Observe, research, contribute when you're ready. We'll give it 3 months. Zara's mind spun. This wasn't just a job. It was a door that had been slammed shut on her before. And now, somehow, it was wide open. She nodded slowly. Thank you. I won't waste the opportunity. I believe you, he said, then smiled. Besides, I like rooting for the underdog. The following weeks felt like a blur of meetings, late nights, and sharp learning curves. Zara barely had time to breathe, but she soaked in everything. How negotiations were navigated, how power moved silently in rooms, how confidence wasn't loud, but precise. She started making suggestions, quietly at first. Then, when those suggestions turned into real wins, Ao began bringing her into higher-level meetings. People started learning her name. Zara, you handled that pitch like a pro. Who prepped this report? This is clean work. She didn't dress to impress anymore. She dressed to match her voice, sharp, simple, deliberate. One afternoon, Ao leaned toward her in the boardroom and asked, When are you going to stop doubting you belong here? She didn't answer, but the smile on her face said everything. And then, exactly 1 year after Emeka broke her, Zara got an envelope at her desk. Not a business proposal, personal one. Ao's handwriting on the card was neat and elegant. Would you do me the honor of being more than just my strategy partner? Dinner tonight. No boardrooms. Just you and me. Zara didn't plan on falling for anyone again, especially not a man the whole country respected. But that dinner would change everything, including her last name. Zara almost didn't wear the dress. It was soft, simple, and sky blue. Nothing flashy, just like her. But somehow, in the mirror, it made her look like someone who belonged in the center of the room, not the edge of it. As she stepped into the restaurant, she realized quickly, this wasn't a casual dinner. The maitre d' greeted her by name. She was led past chandeliers, hushed violins, and tables occupied by politicians and CEOs. And there he was, Ao, already standing, already smiling like he had been waiting forever. You look radiant, he said, pulling out her chair. Zara gave a small, self-conscious laugh. You're setting the bar too high. I'm just speaking the truth, he said gently. No boardroom tonight. No titles. Just us. For the first few minutes, they talked like colleagues. But slowly, the walls started falling away. They shared stories about childhood, mistakes, lost dreams. He told her about losing his first company in his 20s. She told him about being told she wasn't wife material. That part came out unexpectedly, like a confession she hadn't meant to share. Ao sat back, eyebrows raised. Someone actually said that to you? Zara shrugged. Yeah. He didn't think I was polished enough for his circle. Said I wouldn't fit into his future. Ao leaned in. That's not just arrogant. That's short-sighted. I believed him, she said quietly. Then I'm glad he let you go, he said without hesitation. Because now you're sitting across from someone who sees exactly how rare you are. Zara froze. Not because she didn't believe him, but because something inside her did believe him. And it was terrifying. The idea that someone powerful, admired, and deeply respected could look at her, flawed, broken, still healing, and see value, it made her feel whole again. After dinner, he walked her to her car. The street was quiet, the air warm. Before she got in, he paused. I don't rush things, he said, but I know when something is worth holding on to. He reached into his pocket and pulled out a small velvet box. Zara's breath caught, but it wasn't a ring. It was a key. To my house, he said. To the life I'm hoping we'll build. No pressure. Just a door. Open it if and when you're ready. She took the box, her hands trembling. That night, she didn't sleep. Because for the first time in her life, she wasn't questioning if she was enough for someone. She was asking if they were enough for her. Exactly 1 year after Emeka said she wasn't wife material, he received a gold-trimmed envelope in the mail. When he opened it, he nearly dropped it. The gold envelope shimmered under the afternoon sun, delicate and elegant, sealed with a wax stamp embossed with an unfamiliar crest. Emeka didn't recognize the handwriting, but something about the weight of the envelope told him it wasn't a party invite from one of his usual circles. Curious, he tore it open. His eyes scanned the card once, then twice, slower the second time. Zara Adebayo and Ayatollah Olanrewaju, together with their families, joyfully invite you to celebrate their wedding. He froze. Zara. And Ao? His hand actually shook. The name Ao Olanrewaju felt like a slap. He knew that name. Everyone in the country did. The business mogul. The investor. The man even his current boss bowed to. His eyes dropped to the rest of the invite. The venue? A private garden at one of Lagos' most exclusive resorts. Guests? The list of attendees included names of politicians, business tycoons, even international figures. He blinked. A bitter laugh escaped his lips. She really went and did it. But underneath the laugh was something darker. Something like panic. He remembered how he used to roll his eyes when Zara talked about her dreams. How she wanted to be part of big things. How she believed kindness could still win in business. He remembered telling her she was too soft for the real world. That her background would limit her. That she should stop chasing more. He remembered how she cried silently the night he told her she wasn't wife material. He'd moved on quickly, confident she'd never find someone better than him. But now she was marrying someone whose net worth had its own Wikipedia page. Someone who had the kind of influence Emeka had spent his whole life trying to gain, and never would. He sat down, staring at the invitation. She hadn't just moved on. She had risen. Without bitterness. Without noise. With grace. A slow burn started in his gut. Regret mixed with embarrassment. He imagined what people would say when they saw the pictures, when they realized she was that Zara. The one he threw away. Meanwhile, In a quiet suite lined with silk and sunflowers, Zara stood in front of the mirror as her stylist added the final pin to her veil. Ao entered gently, holding a mug of tea. Nervous? Zara smiled. Not at all. You sure? She turned, her eyes calm. I'm not walking into something uncertain. I'm walking into something real, with someone who never asked me to shrink. Ao smiled and reached into his suit pocket. One more thing. He handed her an envelope. Her name was written in careful, elegant script. From your father, he said. One of your cousins tracked it down. Zara blinked. My father. She hadn't heard from him in years. Her hand trembled as she opened it. Inside was a single line. You became everything I was too afraid to be. I'm proud of you. Her throat tightened. For a second, the world blurred. As she walked down the aisle, the room full of powerful names faded into silence. Because this moment wasn't just about love. It was about reclaiming her name, her worth, and her voice. The music began, low, rich, swelling with every step. Zara stood at the edge of the aisle beneath a canopy of cascading orchids. The crowd of dignitaries, business leaders, and world-class influencers sat silent, heads turned, waiting. But she didn't see them. All she saw was Ao, standing at the end of the aisle, eyes locked on her as if no one else existed. No flash of cameras, no whispers from the crowd could touch that moment. Her fingers tightened slightly around her bouquet. Her heart didn't race. It was steady. This wasn't the girl who once hid in the hallway after being humiliated by a man she thought she'd build a life with. This was a woman who had rebuilt herself from whispers and wounds. As she walked forward, every step felt like a declaration. She was never too simple, never too soft, never not enough. She was always wife material, just not for someone who couldn't see her worth. Later, at the reception, the toast began. Ao stood tall, lifting his glass. There are people who build their legacy with power. But mine started with a quiet girl who showed up to a meeting with nothing but a notebook and a mind sharper than anyone else's. The crowd laughed softly. She didn't demand attention. She earned respect. She didn't chase the spotlight. She became the light. Zara, you've taught me more about patience, integrity, and grace than any boardroom ever has. He turned to her, lowering his glass slightly. I didn't just marry a brilliant strategist. I married my compass. The room erupted in applause. Zara's eyes glistened, but she didn't cry. Not from sadness. From fullness. She stood and took the mic, steady. Thank you, she said softly, for celebrating with us today. This isn't just our wedding. It's a reminder that where you come from doesn't define where you can go. That soft doesn't mean weak. And that sometimes, the door that slams in your face is just redirecting you to the one you were meant to walk through. She paused. And to those who ever felt discarded or unseen, this is proof. You don't have to fight to be noticed. You just have to know who you are. The rest will find you. 1 week later, a photo went viral. Zara, elegant, radiant, standing beside Ao as they smiled before boarding a private jet to Santorini. The caption read, Simple girl, powerful man, extraordinary love. Buried in the comments was a single account quietly watching. At @emik__surrealist, biggest mistake of my life. But Zara never saw it. She was too busy sipping tea on a white balcony overlooking the sea, her wedding ring glinting in the sun. Not because she needed validation, but because she had finally become the woman she was always meant to be. And this time, she didn't need anyone's permission. If you enjoyed this story, please like and subscribe and don't forget to turn on the notification bell. Thank you. We hope to see you in our next video.